guest. The official I would like to introduce to you, and this is the official introduction of dignitaries. The first of 4 dignitaries is Mrs. Joyce Boyd, President of the Canadian Legion Ladies Auxiliary Branch 24 right here in Cranbrook. Joyce?
Of the Ladies Auxiliary to the Legion in Cranbrook, it gives me great pleasure to present plaques for each of the ladies that are celebrating their birthdays. The plaques read, in honor of your 100th birthday, congratulations from the Royal Canadian Legion Ladies Auxiliary, Branch 24 Cranbrook.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyd. Now it's my pleasure to call upon Ms. Carol Marquis, who is this evening's official representative of the City of Cranbrook. She'll be reading Mayor Jensen's letter. Incidentally, Mayor Jensen is taking a Dairy Queen course, and he's learning how to split bananas.
Represent Mayor Rick Jensen and members of council. When I first became involved with the Sweetheart Program, our annual celebration was explained to us as a time to reflect upon the past and the contributions of our ancestors. As I was preparing to read Mayor Jensen's letter, the full impact of those words came to me. I join with the family members and friends of Mrs. Harrison, Mrs. Willis, and Mrs. Batchelor in all the warm wishes that are extended to them. But I would also like to say, on behalf of the young people of Cranbrook, a most sincere thank you for the contributions that you and your generation have given to us. It's our heritage, and we're proud of it. A letter addressed to our 3 honored guests from His Worship Mayor Rick Jensen. Dear Ruby, Mabel, and Margaret, it was my sincerest wish to be with you tonight, to join with your families and friends in honoring you. Unfortunately, business has called me away from the city, but our sweetheart has kindly offered to act as ambassador in my absence. How can I say all that should be said to you on the celebration of such a momentous occasion? I am astounded as I consider what the last 100 years and you must have seen. As you watched man's first incredible walk on the moon, did you look to the day when women pioneering in space would be so calmly accepted? And did you speculate that one day women would not only exercise their voting rights, but that their names would also appear on the ballots? As you look around you, could you have predicted that such wonders as electricity, central heating and air conditioning, meals cooked in microwaves, Dishes cleaned by machines and telephones, cars and televisions would become so commonplace that most of us take them for granted. At the turn of the century, you were young ladies encumbered by long skirts and strict rules of behavior. As the new century dawns, your granddaughters and great-granddaughters might view your adolescent experiences with disbelief. Most of us have only read about the prevailing mood of the gay 90s, the birth of man's flight, the devastation of the crash of the 30s, and the horror of World War. You have had your own victories, your own tragedies, and you survived. What incredible memories you must have. The poet implores us, give to the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you. I hope many of the best things of life have come to you. And I hope your descendants realize you must be very special indeed to have been given the strength to face life's challenges every day for 100 years. On behalf of Council and the people of Cranbrook, I salute you, and I wish you a bright and happy future. Sincerely, Rick Jensen, Mayor. Present Mrs. Ruby Willis, Mrs. Margaret Batchelor, and Mrs. Mabel Harrison a copy of our mayor's letter and a Cranbrook City pin from our Cranbrook Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much, Carol. While Carol's making the presentations to the ladies, I just wanted to mention that Stan Graham, our local MP, is in Ottawa this evening and simply could not make it back and sends his apology. We'll just wait a moment and then I will officially introduce Terry Segerty.
Ladies and gentlemen, head table guests, honoured guests, sweetheart Carol, Princess Janice and Sherry, it's a pleasure for me to be here this evening representing people of the Kootenay riding and the government of British Columbia. I associate myself completely with the remarks of Mayor Jensen in his letter, and I would just like us for a moment, if I could, to picture Al Kennedy, who came from Saskatoon, he said some years ago, arriving in Saskatoon in the year 1912. From England, along with his wife, and going out into the woods and knocking logs to build a home, going to the nearest creek and finding some place to wash your clothes, and getting a horse and making the harness for it by hand. Al, there's no banker around to come and foreclose it. Mayor Jensen's letter points out to us the incredible changes that have taken place over the last 100 years. And indeed, we would think today that the challenges are all over. But when we look back at the changes that have taken place over the lifetime of Mrs. Harrison, Mrs. Willis, and Mrs. Batchelor, we begin to realize that changes have taken place many, many times over their lifetime. But you know, Alf Kennedy, there was no doctor around in those days when you arrived in Saskatoon. There was no medical services for their parents, nor was there adequate housing or jobs or anything else. But yet the incredible faith, the courage and the perseverance of all of our senior citizens, and especially that of Mrs. Harrison, Mrs. Batchelor and Mrs. Willis, carried us through those tough times. And we might take a page out of their book today as our province and country is going through, again, a tough period of time, and recognize that what we want today are what we call tough times. Mrs. Harrison, Mrs. Willis and Mrs. Batchelor, what we call tough times, doing without some of the things that they never really dreamed of having. And so tonight, I want to say thank you to our seniors, in particular the three ladies who are here to honor. And I know that the younger generation will take a page out of their book and follow their ideas with the incredible faith and imagination and courage which they have inspired in all of us. So tonight, on behalf of the Premier of British Columbia, I would like to make a presentation. Mrs. Batchelor got a telegram from the Lieutenant Governor of the province of British Columbia, and it says, "To Mrs. Margaret Batchelor, may I extend to you my sincere congratulations and very best wishes on the occasion of your 100th birthday, signed by the Lieutenant Governor of the province of British Columbia, Mr. Rogers." Mrs. Batchelor also received a certificate from the Premier of British Columbia, and I'll read it out for you. On behalf of the people and the government of the province of British Columbia, the Premier extends his very best wishes, Mrs. Batchelor, on the occasion of your 100th birthday, signed Bill Bennett, Premier of British Columbia. Mrs. Willis also got a telegram from, or a certificate from Mr. Rogers, the Lieutenant Governor, and again he says, "May I extend congratulations to you and very best wishes on the occasion of your 100th birthday by Mr. Rogers, Lieutenant Governor of the province of British Columbia." And again, Mrs. Willis received a certificate from the Premier. I will read. On behalf of the people of British Columbia, the Premier extends his very best wishes on the occasion of your 100th birthday, signed Bill Bennett, Premier of British Columbia. Mrs. Harrison's certificates went directly to her home, and there's been some delay in sending certificates from the Governor General and the Prime Minister. Wasn't sure when the application was made for the certificate who was going to be the Prime Minister of Canada. I would like to make a presentation to the three ladies, and I'll start with Mrs. Batchelor, if I may. everyone here and the people of British Columbia, I would like to make this presentation to you. A letter from myself, a presentation to you on behalf of everyone here and the people of British Columbia. Congratulations. Letter from myself, and again on behalf of everyone here at the people of British Columbia, on the occasion of your 100th birthday, I'd like to present you this.
Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you for those kind words, even though they were wrong. In 1912, they didn't have any logs in the province of Saskatchewan. And I can assure you, they had lots of wind.
You didn't arrive there then, did you?
If I might share for a moment with you, Joan and I were just talking prior to supper. My father died about 7 years ago, and he was 93 years old. And believe me, I was youngest of 10 of a Canadian-Irish family. And we enjoyed, all of our family members enjoyed his life as well. And I took one afternoon out when I was in grade 12. Yes, I got to grade 12. I took one entire afternoon out, and I sat with my father about 5 or 6 hours, and I wrote about 16 pages of memorabilia. And those pages and those memories have stayed with me and will remain with me the rest of my life. And I encourage everyone, if they have not done it, you know, heritage is extremely rich. Please write the memories down, okay? Mr. and Mrs. John Carter have graciously consented to sing 3 songs in a duet, and they are accompanied by a pianist. And I would like to call upon Mr. and Mrs. Harder at this time, please.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure for Maxine and I to be here tonight and to share this special occasion in honor of these three ladies. They're celebrating their 100th birthday, and we wish to congratulate each one of you. We always feel that it is a privilege to be in the presence of older folk. There is so much wisdom, so much experience represented here. And we would like to sing tonight some favorites of these ladies. And the first two songs will be Silver Threads Among the Gold, requested by Mrs. Bachelor, and a song entitled He. And that's a favorite of Mrs. Willis.